Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Roma Press live stream right after Roma beat Udinese 3-1 in today's match day, right after the international break. I realize we are here this evening as Inter and Juve face off in a thrilling game that will end today's round of Serie A fixtures. So I will not hold it against anybody who chooses to go and watch that game instead. Although this is the place to be if you want to express your thoughts, feelings, and whatever else comes to your mind tonight after Roma beat Udinese in what I think was a must-win game at all costs, and thankfully that win came about. So tonight will be more about what you guys have to say. As always, I want this to be an interactive live stream. I want you guys to write down whatever you think is worth talking about after tonight's result. John and I, we have already recorded the podcast. The episode should drop tomorrow, and you will be able to find it wherever you get your podcasts from, and also here on YouTube at the Roma Press channel. So I'll be greeting the people that will be writing in the comments, such as our good friend Duncan from snowy Indiana. Greetings from cold and snowy Indiana. Well, thank you so much, Duncan, for being here. I remember crossing Indiana in March, and that it was starting to get a bit warmer, and already it seemed like it wasn't, the weather was harsh already then. So I don't want to imagine what it must be like in the final days of November. um, Roma supporter, thank you so much for being here with us. Who the hell does Balzaretti think he is? He just talked shit and should keep his mouth shut. If Mourinho had said that if we played away and lost, we all know what would happen if we said the same. Yes, I think you're referring to the comments made by former Roma player Federico Balzaretti, who now works for Udinese as their sporting director. And yes, definitely, Balzaretti made some comments regarding the officiating in tonight's match. He said the officiating was soft. The officiating was not good enough for this kind of match at the Stadio Olimpico, where the pressure is on the referee due to how packed the stadium was. So Balzaretti, despite being an avid Roma supporter due to his years at the club, we all remember him, the emotional goal, right? Him crying, the tears of joy, and what was it, 2013? But we also have to understand that now Balzaretti works at Udinese, and so it is what it is. Although I really thought that tonight's match was pretty balanced in terms of officiating. I didn't think of it too much, perhaps again because that's what it is. You know, the winner tells the tale, and so tonight we tell the tale. Although, again, the match was far from straightforward. I think we've said that one too many times this season, haven't we? Work at 6 a.m. But Roma first. Wow, that's Shoaib. That's fantastic, man. And thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. And if you can get some sleep, I really recommend to. You can always rewatch the full replay here on the Roma Press YouTube channel. This will be available right after we finish recording, so you can always get back to it. Ragav, Pellegrini is so instrumental for controlling the game. Pellegrini is instrumental to a lot of things that we tend to ignore, and I think the most glaring one is the set pieces, right? The corners, the free kicks. It all comes from him being on the pitch and giving you a slight advantage in that department. Tonight, Pellegrini was far from his best. Pellegrini is still not match fit. This is a player who's missed a month and a half with a muscle injury, something that he's dealt with in the past. So we have to understand that. And I think we have to understand that Roma function differently with him on the pitch. It's night and day, despite the fact that, yes, We've seen him many times play through injuries, and we know what it looks like. He looks uncomfortable. He doesn't make the impact that is needed of a captain. Yet still, I maintain, and as a big Pellegrini critic from the past, I still think, and I agree with you that Roma's success heavily depends on Pellegrini's availability. I think that, in my opinion, he's just as important as the likes of Paulo Dybala and Romelu Lukaku to this version of Roma, to this particular Roma. I finally saw control. So first we got Duncan, who says, agreed, Pellegrini makes a huge difference. Okay, I'm glad that we can find common ground here. That's what it's all about, right, guys? I finally saw control in our game, but Spinazzola and Ndika should be arrested for that mistake when Udinese scored. Yes, and this is not the first time that Spinazzola does it. I don't know about Ndika. Maybe once or twice he's been caught sleeping, but in my opinion, like that is Spinazzola. Once again, how many times have we seen Spinazzola do it in the past? Just not reading his man. He falls asleep. And so I think one of our patrons mentioned, it could be Chris, that said it's a shame that El Shaarawy is so good off the bench, because that forces us to bear Spinazzola for around 60 minutes, right? And so I think there's truth to that, because El Shaarawy is a completely different player once you bring him off the bench. But yet, somebody has to start, right? So I think for now, this will be the formula. Leonardo Spinazzola starting, El Shaarawy coming off the bench. And El Shaarawy, man, like the quality, and when he has the clarity and the energy that he misses when he starts, right? He gets so tired, and especially when Mourinho gives him more defensive assignments, he gets so tired that he doesn't even see the ball. He doesn't even see the goal. And yet tonight, once again, we're confronted with a different version, a different player, a player who, when he's off the bench, he's a pro. He's a super sub. He's the sixth man, He's Andre Iguodala for the Warriors when they were winning championships left and right. He's the moneymaker. He's Sean Livingston, he can be the difference maker time and time again. If you put him in the position to succeed, he'll deliver. Subs were great again. Yes, I think, and Mourinho recognizes himself. He said after the game, thankfully, I didn't mess up anything. I absolutely agree with him. He had everything was spot on. He read the situation correctly. He read the team's energy levels. I liked Sardar Azmoun. I liked El Shaarawy. That was very needed. Zaleski making an appearance. Bove, who once again is out there on the pitch and finds a way, compared to the Bove that we saw last year at the beginning, the Bove that, we saw in Mourinho's first year. This Bove is palpable. Like you can feel his presence on the pitch, whether it's when he starts or when he comes off the bench. He's so eager, and thankfully right now this energy translates to concrete output. You feel his presence, especially going forward, which to me is a pleasant surprise, because I know many people remember that I said it multiple times. Bob is not the guy who goes in front of goal, and yet he continues to do that. He continues to be present in Roma's attacking phase, and I think that is so important when you consider all the link up that can be done, and that was done earlier tonight, as we saw Bove, get a perfect read on El Shaarawy coming in from the left. Hello, Andres from New York. Thank you for following us, Andres. We got Simon. My God, the first part of the second half, I thought Roma had lost the plot. Oh, and you weren't alone. I was sweating bullets. Really, those are things that we've seen before, right? Roma drop back, Roma drop deep for whatever reason, and they start to welcome the opponent, even though the opponent is Udinese, a team that is 1 point off the relegation zone and has been quite mediocre this season, to say the least. But thankfully we we pulled it back around in the 81st minute. Yes, and I think we touched upon it with John. The team has to have that awareness. I don't understand, why do we have to repeat it? Why does the team need reminding that they have the quality to at least beat the lesser sides, right? Comfortably, confidently. You have the quality. You have Paulo Dybala and Romelu Lukaku. That in of itself should guarantee you a result against the smaller sides. And instead, Serie A is complicated. And instead, Serie A is tricky. It's tricky because a lot of the teams can catch you off guard, and we've seen it time and time again. And Udinese beat Milan, and they got a good result against Atalanta. So I understand that, but I'm talking about the way Roma play, right? And sometimes it feels like they don't know what they're capable of. And once they understand it, boom, they go on a scoring run and they win you the game. And that has to come earlier. I think that's the main point that we can all agree on, is that Roma have the capabilities. It's just a matter of applying them at the right time in the right place. Raghav, Spinazzola is playing like he wants to leave. He always pulls away from a 50-50 chance. I don't know what the future holds for him. Yeah, for him, it's tricky. I honestly can envision him leaving. I don't think that Spinazzola will renew at all. And I don't think Roma will let him go for free in the summer. If you can get some money out of him and make an investment in a player in his position, I'm pretty sure that Roma will jump at that occasion, given Spinazzola's recent output, his injury history, and his attitude on the pitch. As you say, he hesitates too much, and in my mind, that is not a player who is sharp enough. At the start of the season, when Luciano Spalletti decided not to call him up anymore for Italy, Spinazzola came out in the open and said, I'm gonna respond on the pitch. Well, he's leaving a lot to be desired. We got Haiti. Yay, finally caught a live stream. Thank you for being here. That's good of you. And if you're joining us for the first time, please subscribe to the Roma Press channel. This is where you can find all the live streams. I usually schedule them right after the match, and I schedule them a bit in advance, usually an hour or two, for everybody to have a bit of time to prepare. Or I schedule them also midweek when Roma play in the Europa League. So you can always find them here on this channel, and you can also find the episodes of the Roma Press podcast on this channel. So if you haven't already done so, click on the subscribe button. And if you haven't liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. It really helps get into the algorithm. So if you're watching and you like what you're hearing or seeing, give it a like, and I really appreciate it, because that can help us reach more people. If you also would like to support the show, if you like what we do at romapress.net, if you like the website and the podcast and the YouTube channel, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/romapress. You can choose to support the work we do in any way you want. You can choose any plan you want, and that is greatly appreciated, because it allows us to continue doing what we do, which is covering all things Roma related. Oleg. Hello, Oleg. Dobry wieczór. Finally, a game that didn't fuck up, being offered an opportunity to get really close to top four. Yes, thankfully, because the implications of a draw or a loss tonight would be huge, especially after an international break where you are always supposed to process things. And Roma had a lot to process, given their recent performances against Slavia Praha and in the derby against Lazio. There was a lot to think about, and there was a lot of rumors in this international break. And to open this new chapter in the Serie A season with either a loss or a draw to Udinese at home would have been miserable. And yet here we are, thankfully, only 3 points off top four. So that is a huge result in of itself. That Udinese goal felt like being put in a Draymond chokehold. Yes. It really did feel like we were Rudy Gobert there for a second. No, absolutely. And how many times have we seen that exact goal and that exact reaction from the team? Like, sort of everybody dropping their shoulders. It felt like, guys, you're 1-0 up. in a game that should be easy and that looks easy. Like it was setting up to be quite an accessible match for Roma, and yet, as always, they try to make life more difficult for themselves. And you really have to question and sort of reflect on what Mourinho said before this match, where he questioned the hunger this team has. He questioned the determination these players have. And I think in doing so, he almost admitted some some kind of guilt over his responsibility in the matter. He's the coach. He has to impart that mentality that he wants players to have, right? He made it a major talking point in his press conference ahead of Udinese that the team struggles to play away from the Stadio Olimpico. Tonight, obviously, we played at Stadio Olimpico, but we lacked that hunger, that determination to close the match in the second half. We could have done it, and yet Roma waited and waited and waited. And once Paulo Dybala scores that goal, and Roma all of a sudden realized that, hey, we got the quality, we got this. That's the wake-up call. But that wake-up call has to happen earlier. Shoaib, eating a chocolate bar during the game and instantly stopped chewing and started sweating when Llorente went down in the second half. Man, I absolutely. With Chris Smalling out and, Maras Kumbula, anything that happens right now, especially in this really busy stretch of the season, in my opinion, is sort of like a deal breaker. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, Sardar Azmoun could go down with an injury in the next match. God forbid. Please, footballing gods, whatever you do, don't listen to me. But I would consider that a major loss. Let's see. Okay, we got from Melbourne. Love your channel. Thank you so much, Haiti. Glad you could tune in. Glad you could catch us. Coming from Melbourne, only speaking English. You have helped me with my first year supporting Roma. Thank you so much. That really means a lot because that's what we do. Like that's the whole point of the website, the podcast, everything. So thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoy it, and I'm glad that you joined us here tonight. Really like Christensen coming off the bench, stinky when he starts. Yeah, I think Mourinho has figured it out. I think Mourinho now, Karsdorp is, I think, the undisputed starter. And I think that's the wise choice. You love him or hate him. I think we can all agree that on the right flank to start, Karsdorp has the experience. He has the quality to provide you with the more significant minutes. I don't mind Christensen coming off with off the bench with that physicality, with that strength. I think that is a welcome addition when you're looking to sort of bully the opponent around the final minutes of a match. And also now, hey guys, I don't know if everybody caught it, but we had it on the website a couple of times in the last few days that Karsdorp could renew his stay at Roma. So all of a sudden, Rick Karsdorp, the man, the main suspect, the main antagonist of last season, right after that falling out with Jose Mourinho, all of a sudden is being linked with a contractual extension at Roma, even though his contract is still valid until 2025. We have Dybala, Paredes for set pieces, but control, Pellegrini is the most important. I think you definitely, sure. I think I get what you mean, because Pellegrini sort of dictates the tempo of the match. If he's fit, he really can do it. If he's fit, he can read the action, and he can be a great link between the defense and the attack. Did Zalewski play in the midfield when Christensen came on? He looked really energetic there. International break definitely boosted his confidence. Yeah, Zalewski's coming off a great stretch with the Polish national team. He had, I think, 3 assists or 4 in the last 2 games. So that's, I think this is a player, again, who has been constrained to a particular position, and unfairly so. I think that it became a trap for him. If you can mold him into somebody more versatile, into somebody who can cover multiple positions at once, that would be more beneficial than just having him play as a left back, even though he doesn't feel entirely comfortable there. Brandon, one thing is a true positive. Roma have so many options up front, and we will have the equivalent of a free transfer when Tammy eventually comes back. Well, let's see what the future may hold for Tammy. Tammy, who should be back in March. So I don't know how much of an impact he can have, but I definitely agree that there is a lot of combinations that Roma can use. I think Mourinho today in his post-match interview discussed the possibility of having Paulo Dybala and Sardar Azmoun out there together more regularly. He disputed that notion because he thinks Paulo Dybala and Sardar Azmoun cannot offer the same things defensively that, say, Andrea Belotti can, in a duo like that. So I think Sardar Azmoun is still far off from being a regular starter for Roma or trying to break into that starting 11, obviously, because he doesn't play in the Europa League due to UEFA's crappy rule about the list. So, but I agree with you. There's a lot of combinations. And hey, Mourinho himself today, he admitted it. He has a lot of options off the bench. So the man who said a couple of weeks back that Roma have fewer options than Atalanta and Fiorentina today came out in the open and said he likes the players that he has on the bench. So Mourinho will always be Mourinho. Incredible. Oleg, I changed my mind. Let's keep Zaleski, but get rid of Spinazzola. We need a proper left wing back. Okay, well that's the talking point for January. But I think Spinazzola is completely tuned out at the moment. I think Spinazzola is whereas with Zaleski, perhaps you can get still somewhere. He's young. He's a product of the youth academy. Spinazzola right now, just mentally also because of this contractual situation, I think. Is not a player that you can rely on, and yet you are forced to rely on him because hey, in his position on a good day he can be great, but so far he's not been good enough. Elsha was speedy today. El Shaarawy off the bench is a menace. I will go to my grave believing that El Shaarawy can be one of the greatest clutch players in the history of the club, honestly. Just by how predictably great he is off the bench in moments that matter, in moments where you need to put the pressure on the opponents. He's incredible. I don't know. I can't really name a lot of players at Roma, at least, that have had the same impact with such consistency off the bench only, and as starters were not there, and that's been the case for El Shaarawy. I mean, the only time he was a starter regularly and actually produced something was when Roma were absolutely abysmal in 2018 to 2019. The only time that El Shaarawy goes double digits scoring wise. What's your take on the Sanchez situation? I think the Sanchez situation is very concerning, but it's the deal with him. That's it. And I don't know how much truth there can be to Renato Sanchez, having his loan terminated in January. I don't know if Roma can afford it. I don't know if Roma can even get somebody in January to replace him. I don't know what the rules will be. You have to keep in mind Sanchez theoretically can play in the Europa League. If you bring in somebody else, there is no guarantee that they can also be included in that list. It's a situation that is worrying because he's a player that could potentially change the entire dynamic of the team, and yet we are yet to see him get any significant minutes in Mourinho's roster. It's a shame. It's a shame because that's a quality player that you have, and it's a shame because it always seems like he's one step away from becoming the guy that you want him to be. And then he goes down with an injury or he gets fatigued and his return gets postponed and he has to train on his own. Like today, he trained on his own while the team was getting on the team bus to go to Stadio Olimpico. Renato Sanchez was at Trigoria trying to get ready for the Europa League match on Thursday night. Beating smaller teams is not as easy as ABC. Oh, and I'm the first one to agree with you. And I said it a number of times on the podcast when we would win 1-0. Will not find me complaining. What I do have an issue with is Roma's attitude. Not even their performance, it's the attitude. The fact that, to begin with, you should know that you are the better side. You should have that awareness. When Inter go into a match with Roma, they play with the confidence of a team that is better than Roma. And I want more of that from Roma, because they should know. And then once things get going, they realize they have the quality. Like when Paulo Dybala scores, when El Shaarawy scores, Roma, all of a sudden, they open up. It's like looking at a different team. It's like looking at a team full of confident, secure, strong players, and so my issue is that too many times I've seen this team walk into a stadium, especially away from home, and not assert that dominance. That's it. I fully agree. Smaller sides are a problem, and they can get to you. And they've been getting to a number of teams: Napoli, Lazio, Atalanta. They've all lost and dropped points against smaller sides. Inter to Bologna, But the key to winning those games, and the key to being able to win this game comfortably, and then be able to cruise by and rest until Thursday night, is to win it early on. And you can only win it early on if you assert your dominance, which Roma haven't done. And tonight they waited and waited, and then finally in the 81st minute, Dybala is like, we got the quality, we got this, look at us, one touch football, boom, goal, and you win the game magically. And that same thing happens against Monza. The same thing happens against Lecce. So there is a recurring pattern of the team, when it clicks, when they're like, oh, wow, look at us. We got it. We can make a change. We can win it. Thank you guys so much. There's 42 of us. I appreciate each and every one of you watching this live stream. But please, there's only 24 likes, so the math isn't mathing. So if you can drop a like, if you are able to do so, please click like, so that we can reach out to more people. More people can join us as this live stream goes on. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel that we have on here, please do so. You'll find all the Roma Press podcast episodes on here in video format, so you can watch the beautiful faces that John and I possess as we discuss all things related to Roma and nothing but Roma. Shoaib, the options that we have in attack versus the defense are hilarious. Ferrari versus go-kart. Yes, that's true. That's true, and I think Roma will do something about it in January. I don't know how much truth to. I want to know people's opinion on this, because yes, Renato Sanchez is one thing, but Chris Smalling is another thing. Chris Smalling is not on loan at Roma, unlike Renato Sanchez. Chris Smalling is here to stay for another 2 years after renewing his contract, after putting in a brilliant season last year. Brilliant. In my opinion, the performer of the year, along with Paulo Dybala and Brian Cristante. But the fact that he's been unable to even consider returning to group training after 3 months is very concerning at the age of 34. So the rumors of him potentially leaving in January, I don't know how much truth there is to that, but it is concerning to me that a player who just renewed his time at the club for another 2 years, doesn't have a clear return date in mind. I don't know. And from what Mourinho said, from the way this whole story is being told, it's all mental. Right now, it's all mental. Right now, it's pain, yes, but it's also the reluctance to face it, to confront it. So I don't want to be telling anybody what to do. I mean, he's a professional. Smalling knows his body, sure, but it's concerning to have what, in theory should be your main defender, your best defender, not be available and not have a clear idea as to when he can be back and when you can rely on him. But it has played really well today. What are your thoughts on the double pivot with Cristante? I said it. I think Cristante is far more advanced in how Cristante is much more in tune with Mourinho, and that's obviously it's simple. I mean, he's been playing longer with him. Paredes is still a bit behind. I think that can work well. And I think Paredes can benefit from having Pellegrini out there with him. That's why I say when Pellegrini's fit, when he is sharp, he can be a really good link, and he can help out somebody like Paredes on this occasion. I really do believe that, because Paredes can have those games, right, where he's sort of caught in the middle, right, between setting up the play and helping out intercepting the ball. And I think Pellegrini is the mediator in that case. You guys are doing amazing. Thank you so much, Andres. Thank you for the support. It really means a lot. Great live stream. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it, but the credit all goes to you, because it's the comments, it's the fact that people tune in from all over the world. That's what makes it exciting. Think about it, guys. We have people from Melbourne, we have people from Indiana, from New York, from Singapore. We got people from all parts of Europe. That's fantastic. And that's all. That all comes together because of Roma. So I think that is mind blowing, because we always think, Roma. Within Roma, no, Roma is global. So thank you guys so much for being here with me. If this is your first time, click the like button and click the subscribe. This is where we go live, and this is where we upload the video podcast episodes. Hi Andy, hi Valerio. Thank you so much for being here. Send Sanchez away, says Duncan. Again, we'll have to see, because these situations are not so easy, right? This is a loan with obligation. There is a lot of probably rules in that contract, and a lot of requirements. Roma were chipping away on that agreement with PSG for a long time, and I don't think it can be as easy 1, 2, 3. There is a lot at stake, I think. But I do agree that, listen, if this guy cannot contribute, you have to make considerations. I love Karsdorp, says Mr. Basement. That's a great username. Unlike the last few games, says Shaib, where we stole it in the final minutes, I felt we were definitely in control of this one, bar the first 20 minutes in the second half, and definitely deserved to win it. I absolutely agree. I don't have any negative comments about the overall performance in terms of you were in charge. Yes, you were in charge. Those 20 minutes, though, 20 minutes is not 5 minutes. 20 minutes is a considerable amount of time. And we've seen that 20 minutes this season be stretched out and cost Roma severely, very often. And I want to be secure. I want to, for a change, when watching Roma, I want to feel secure that I'm watching a team that has got it. And tonight, again, yes, overall, they were the better side. Overall, they played better. They created better chances. They were more dangerous, and there was more quality behind their play, obviously. But you cannot, if you aspire to top 4, you cannot allow yourself, because tonight you were lucky. You did play better than on other occasions. I agree with you. Against Monza, I definitely think that tonight was much better than that. But still, right? These are tiny baby steps. I need Roma to just make a more significant improvement in that area. I don't think that's too much to ask. And I think Mourinho and the team are fully aware of it, and they recognize that is an issue. Like, that comes from the mentality, and that's something they've been working at for the past 3 years. At some point in time, it has to come out and sort of be fully fleshed out, because you cannot sit here. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, well, in terms of mentality, Mourinho's first Roma in his first year, especially that second part of the season, compared to this Roma, much more solid, in my opinion. And so that's where the problem is, because you go on for 3 years, you expect gradual improvements. Especially after a Europa League final. I have to say, I feel bad for Belotti. He had a great start of the season. Then we got Lukaku, as Moon turned out to be good. Now he sits on the bench outside the Europa League. Yeah, I mean, it's with Belotti, I agree. It's this is a player who thrives when he needs the minutes. He's not somebody who you can throw in for the last 5 minutes and hope he does the same thing as when you have him working his ass off for an entire game. So But Mourinho is the first fan of Belotti. Mourinho loves Belotti, so I think this is one of those spells. It happens throughout the season. It happens, but I do agree it has to be a bit deflating for Belotti, who finally was able to sort of shake off that dust and rust that he had gathered last season. Not being able to score goals in Serie A, his output in the Europa League questionable, a lot of injuries, broke his rib, broke his hand, all kinds of things happening. And yet, this season, it seemed to be working out for him, now back on the bench. Even if he's made from Lego bricks, I don't think Mourinho would ever want to voluntarily be a player down in January regarding the possible termination of Sanchez's loan. Absolutely. No, that's in my, like, if there's nobody coming in, Mourinho and Roma are not doing that. Again, I want to emphasize there has been only one report about that possible termination of Sanchez's loan, and I honestly don't think this is an option. If Roma don't have anybody in their sights for January, which is very likely because their financial capabilities are extremely limited, almost resulting in zero funds, honestly. I don't think that's even remotely possible to send Sanchez back to PSG and then go on for the remainder of the season without anybody in his place, right? Brandon, Mourinho also said yesterday, my players need to be more confident away from home. They always seem scared, missing mom, dad, and grandma. Clearly anticipating next few games. Oh, for sure. For sure, because he knows there is a lot at stake in the next few weeks. You're playing away from home in really tough environments. So it's, get ready or die trying. Like, it just, like, it's up to you. It's up to the players, but the players, that has to also come from Mourinho, and he knows it. And I think that's what was very vivid in my mind after the press conference that took place before the match against Udinese. When I talked to John about it earlier tonight, John was like, Mourinho sounded really angry. And I thought, no, Mourinho sounded frustrated also with himself, with the fact that he's been unable to transmit that same hunger, that same willingness to play hard away from home in uncomfortable settings that was typical of his previous teams, to this team that where he's been and he's felt great and he's had a great connection with these players, and somehow he cannot pull through. And that, I think, bothers him greatly, and I don't think that absolves him of any responsibility, And I think that he is fully aware of it. Big respect for the stream, bro. Keep killing it. Thank you so much, Soza. Appreciate really the love. It means a lot to me. Felt like saying that because we all focus on Roma and not on your work that you put in. So keep killing it. Never lose your enthusiasm for Roma. That's wow. That's very kind of you. Thank you for. I mean, this is one of the many comments that was directed at me in a very kind manner tonight. So I really appreciate it because it's true. It's honestly, Roma Press is just me and John, guys. It's just two people, fans of Roma, that have been going at it for the past few years. I've been working on the website for 2 years, over 2 years, and working on the podcast for 5 years. And we've seen both the podcast and the website grow immensely. And now we have a YouTube channel. It's all because of you. It's all because of there is people interested in Roma, and it's all because people want to interact with us. People want to know more about Roma, and we're just trying to make it accessible for people that don't speak Italian. So many news, so many stories are only in Italian. What we try to give you guys is an insight into the world that otherwise would be off limits, right, for people who come from abroad and don't speak the language. So we're fully aware of it, and I thank you so much for sharing that comment. It's very nice. So I really appreciate it. Oh, we got our favorite person, Mazin. Thank you for being here, Mazin. Yo, Andy, what's up, man? I'm glad for the win, but the defense is scaring me against stronger opponents in the upcoming stretch. Keep up the good work, man. Thank you so much, Mazin. One of the good ones. Thank you so much. It's true. There has to be, like tonight's episode, obviously, Spinazzola and Ndika are caught sleeping. but that has to be a one-off, right? Because that is if you watch that replay, it's such an awful goal. Because again, I've seen it time and time again. I've seen it too many times, and I think more than enough with Spinazzola playing a minor part or bigger part in that. Him getting caught sleeping, not tracking on his opponent, and miscommunicating with the center back. Andy, greetings from Accra, Ghana. Thank you, Alex, for being here. Not the first time that you're here. I remember, obviously, that we have followers from Ghana and we have followers from Accra. So it's amazing that you're joining us tonight, and I appreciate the contribution to the live stream. We miss Smalling. Matic, says Ragav. With the backbone of our defense, with the goals we scored this season, we should have been in top four. If some of the Giants fail, we will be in the top four. It's true, and it's an interesting point what you bring in. The fact that we've scored so much more this season compared to last season. I think I would even venture as far as we scored almost double the number of goals that we had at this time last season. It wouldn't be too far off of a prediction, but it's true. There is a lack of balance in between the output, the goal scoring output that we're showing right now, and our defense, which makes not frequent mistakes, but still makes them consistently so. Like, they don't make the same mistake over and over, but they do make a mistake. They misread something. They drop their energy levels, and for that, for the team to be able to really compete for top four, they need to minimize that. Absolutely. They need to minimize the number of times that they get caught off guard. This is a team that last season was so locked down, was so focused, so laser focused on a number of occasions, most notably against Real Sociedad, Bayer Leverkusen, where the defense just shut down anything the opponent gave them. This season, we're far from it. But on the other hand, we're chipping away on the offensive phase. So it's true. Once you put those two things together, something good should come out of it. Theoretically, something good should come out of it. Greetings all the way from Gambia. Very happy for the win. Wow. Evoy, thank you so much for being here with us all the way from Gambia. Greetings to you, my friend. Shaarawy, also about Sanchez's loan. I don't think Roma would want to damage the great relationship with PSG. Spot on. Obviously, Roma's owners, the Friedkins, are very close to the PSG ownership. So the deals that have been made in the past have been made possible by that relationship more than anything else, more than anything related to negotiations and actual money. It's been two clubs doing favors to each other. So I fully agree with you. That's a good point, Shoaib. Thank you. Mazin, I say we give Sanchez back to PSG and borrow Fabian Luis instead. Yeah, that one could dream, but again, I don't think Roma will be in a position to do that. Mark, hello from Malta. Andy, wow, that's awesome. Are you there permanently on vacation? Relieved that we got the win. For a moment there, we were losing control, but then the players got a grip. Thanks for the live stream, Andy. Thank you for being here. The live stream wouldn't be what it is without people tuning in. So it's all up to you guys. Otherwise, I'd be just a guy talking into a microphone. You know the old saying about the difference. I think it was Jim Jeffries who was like the main difference between a comic, a stand-up comedian, and a drunk is that the stand-up comedian has a microphone in his hand. So that's the only difference for me as well. Alex Santi, our players are doing their best. One match a week is always better than two. Yes, look at Juve. Let's support our team. We won with hard work today, not luck. And absolutely, I agree with you. Although there always has to be an element of luck. Today, I said it. I have nothing against the performance. I think the team did what they had to do, and they did it well enough in the final minutes. I'm just concerned that sometimes that can be too late, And as we saw with Lazio, it almost seems like in a match of greater importance, say, than against Udinese, the team doesn't really go as far as it wants to go or as far as it can go. Tonight, we went as far as we wanted to go in the 80th minute. We pulled the guns out. We showed what we're made of. Against Lazio, that was missing. And I think that's what was concerning about that performance, which otherwise, as a draw in the derby is not a terrible result, but it left much to be desired, and I think that's something we can all agree. Carlos, our good patron, once again, Mourinho takes too long to use the bench. We should bring the replacements before they score and take the game in hand for the beginning of the second half. Same time. Love how they reacted. Well, I honestly actually think that today's substitutions came at the right time. We're pitch perfect. So today I can't say that. I think it's just inexcusable all of its own for a team, to go in again advantaged position, scoring one goal, an important goal at the Olimpico with the full crowd supporting you, and then you drop your shoulders and let a team like Udinese get the best of you. Not good enough, in that occasion. Andy, mouth bowling, playing football with your mouth is the easiest sports in the world. I agree. I agree, but I'm just here to chat with you guys. I'm not here to preach any kind of gospel. I don't pretend like I'm an expert, and if you try to pin me as an expert, you will fail because I'm the first person to say I'm just a guy, who enjoys talking about Roma. So you'll not find anything within me that is meant to be an unreasonable criticism of Roma. I think there is a difference between bashing a team and actually having a critical discussion. And I think this team more so than ever this season deserves some critical analysis. And I think Mourinho is the first one to agree because that's what he does in his media appearances. That's what he's been doing. He's been critical. He's been, and he's been very open about the flaws of the team and what's missing. So I don't think if he can be critical, I don't think the fans cannot be critical to some extent, At the end of the day, it's football, it's we're not talking about, real big life problems. So let's keep an open mind. Hi, Andy. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. Vladimiro. Been following the channel for a few months, but first time commenting. A big hug to all the Lupo brothers from London. Wow. Thank you so much, Vladimiro. Thank you for joining. If you haven't subscribed to the Roma Press YouTube channel, subscribe and you'll find all the cool video podcast episodes on here, which you can obviously also listen to in audio format everywhere you can get your podcasts from. Oleg, say what you want about our defense, but that tackle by Llorente in the second half was a masterclass. And Llorente has a number of those. Like, Llorente can go from being a very average defender where you're like almost questioning, well, we got him on loan from Leeds, to actually showing real leadership in some of the decisions he makes, in some of the tackles that he commits to. I agree with you, Oleg. He makes those things sometimes look easy, like really with class, clean, beautiful, strong. Skip job today to watch the game. Hey boy, that's awesome. Good for you. Greatly satisfied by the team. Need more consistency. Yes, that I think is something that we can all agree on. It's consistency. It's always consistency. With Roma, it's consistency because that is what keeps you close enough to top four and yet far enough from the real top teams in the league. It's consistency. It's developing certain patterns that you can clearly rely on, because I think that is something that Roma still haven't figured out. What is the main strength? What is the other main strength? What is your plan A, plan B, plan C? There has to be like a menu, a menu list of items, of set pieces, of game plans that you can actually take in your hand, analyze, and rely on with whatever circumstances you are in. Let's see. Inter and Juventus drew just now. Title charges. Oh, yes. Mourinho is going to be competing for the Scudetto, isn't he? Josue, very pleased with Roma's improvement despite a bad start. Hope we keep it going for Champions League spot. Yes, and it's crucial to get these next few games right. I don't think anybody of us expects the team to get full points in December. Where we face teams like Napoli, teams like Juventus. Obviously, it's unrealistic. But if there is a moment to see the necessary improvements from the team, if there is a moment where we can expect the team to actually step up to the plate, where we have to demand of the team to step up to the plate, it's now. Definitely. 100%. Very much appreciated your efforts in making it accessible. Well, thank you, Hedy, for tuning in from all the way from Melbourne. That means a lot. Vladimiro, in the last few years, we've been very unlucky by losing some important players for a long time every season. Zaniolo, Spinazzola, Wijnaldum, Pellegrini, Sanchez, Smalling. Yes, that's really been it's hindered us. We don't want to admit it. Theoretically, you shouldn't use that as an excuse. But Roma is Roma. Roma is not Real Madrid. Roma is Roma, and every absence matters. As I said, even like somebody like Sardar Azmoun, if you were to lose him tomorrow, it would cost you. It would hurt you. Vladimiro says, just subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Vladimiro. Thank you so much. And if you haven't, follow in Vladimiro's footsteps and click the subscribe button. Shoaib, 6 a.m. getting closer and closer. Gonna call it for tonight. Great as always, and a good night. Thank you so much, Shoaib, for interacting. And have a good day's work ahead of you. Good evening, Andy. Thank you, Anthony. A great victory at home this evening. The cream rose to the top tonight. Some shaky moments, but I never felt the game was out of control. How are we fifth with the start we had? Well, if you look at the other teams, you can see why. And I think tonight's match between Inter and Juventus is sort of like the perfect embodiment of what Serie A is this season. There is not a clear team that is so far ahead of everybody that is leaving the others in the dust, like Napoli last season or Milan in previous years, right? It's really down to who can sustain the tempo. And obviously, somebody like Massimiliano Allegri will do anything not to admit that playing once a week helps him greatly in going for the title. Elsha Super Sub says, Silv, above a great fight, putting pressure, still close enough for the Scudetto fight. Called it here. Good on you, Silv. Keep up the positivity. We need it greatly. In my opinion, it says Mr. Basement, my favorite username on here. If we just win Europa League, I'm fine. If we don't get a Champions League spot via standings, well, you're talking about you're saying that as if getting to the Europa League final and winning it is like getting a sandwich around the corner. So, I appreciate the positivity from Mr. Basement as well. Rodrigo, give me a Cristante level of consistency and we have it in the bag. Yes, and Mourinho referred to it in his pre-match press conference that he has a number of players who cannot be depended on from game to game because of their track history. And then you have other players like Cristante, like Bove, like Mancini, who are there no matter what. And after the game tonight, Mourinho even said something to the effect of, well, listen, like, he was asked about Smalling, he was asked about Mancini, and he said Mancini tonight played on painkillers because he had some issues, and he was asking me if you should get off, and I told him, hey, I know you can play on one leg, so you just keep going. And that's what he did. So there are players in this team that give you that availability, that reliability. Unfortunately, I think there's few of them. Hola, Andy. Richard from New Mexico. There you are. Wow, what a great weekend. Moving up the ladder, another lost and drew. Yeah, it's been good. This time it's been good. The last few weeks have been rough in terms of just even looking at your opponents, climb the ladder and you sort of being held back. But tonight it's been good. Very important. Jose is the way to go for this club. Please, Roma, keep that genius. Don't follow British media against Mourinho. I don't think the Roma as a club are following anybody's agenda with regards to Mourinho. I think Roma, if they make a decision for Mourinho's future, they will make it based on the work that the team delivers on the pitch and also what Mourinho's own plans are for the future. Hi, Andy. Love the stream, but I think the analysis about from the Roma press account on Twitter was harsh and a little fair. What that was a complete performance from the team. What do you mean about the analysis from the Roma press account on Twitter? You mean the post match comment? Okay, the Edmund. That's John writing a quick post after the game, right before we do a podcast that is not a complete analysis. Also, that is something that we do in the heat of the moment, right after the game, at the final whistle, as we prepare to record the podcast. Any analysis that we have goes on the podcast. So if you want to hear John's thoughts on the match, my thoughts on the match in their complete form, you can listen to the episode that will drop tomorrow. That's where you find the most comprehensive take from us. Pleasure, man. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Vladimiro. I agree. Consistency, continuity should be our main aim to extract the real potential of this team. In my opinion, we have a good margin for improvement. The qualities are there. Mourinho was the first one to admit tonight that looking at the bench, he liked his options. And he even said, if Renato is back within the next few days, if Smalling can come back stronger from his injury, that's when we can make a clear judgment about the real quality of this team. And I completely agree with him. Oleg, could Patricio have done more about the Udinese goal? I just can't tell. I don't know, Oleg. I think I've seen that so many times, regardless of who's in goal across the years. Well, maybe not Alisson. Alisson is the exception to the rule. But that is something that I think Patricio is the least of your problems on that action. Smalling needs to eat a steak and hamburger and give it up for the vegan stuff. I agree. I just had a perfectly cooked steak, and it's helping me greatly. I'm feeling great, and I think I could start for Roma tomorrow. Champions League can be obtained by finishing fifth if Italy's clubs continue to do well in Europe. Yeah, we are currently ranked second behind Germany. 2 extra spots available for the new format. Yeah, well, we cannot wish for something. We have to make it happen. Roma have to become the captains of the ship. They have to become really the sort of the owners of their fate. That's the masters of their fate, right? Invictus. It's true. It really, like, we can expect and we can hope for Italian football to do better and then to sort of facilitate the qualification for the Champions League. But it really comes down to the team and whether the team really can learn their lessons. So steak is great. Great ass. Yes, Anthony, absolutely. Another fan of my Al Pacino impression, specifically from Heat, not my Al Pacino impression, because my Al Pacino impression is awful, but the Al Pacino impression from Heat is awesome. So I'm the first one to admit it. So I think we got a pretty good idea of what we can expect from Roma within the next few weeks. Roma will now look to play against Servette. They will then return to Serie A and play a number of difficult games that will test them, that will, in my opinion and in John's opinion, determine really not only the outcome of the season, but also the club's plans for the future. So it's if there is a make or break time, it's going to be now. But tonight, thankfully, we saw a Roma that was sharp in the end, that showed their goods, showed their quality. And what I want to conclude this live stream with is I want more. I want more. Give me more. I want more of that link-up play between Paulo Dybala and the others around him. I want more of Bove being an engine going forward. I want more of El Shaarawy being a super sub. I want more of the good things from Roma, because we get a lot of bad things, and we make a habit of sort of keeping track of those. But I want to see more good things. I want to see us sort of come on here more often and rejoice at the good stuff that Roma do on the pitch. I don't count on Smalling anymore, says Oleg. I'm afraid it's time for him to leave. We need a new leader in the back. Now we're just postponing the inevitable. There has to be some truth to it. And I think the Smalling situation will soon be addressed. If this keeps up and if Smalling continues to be unavailable, that will not be good enough for Roma, and Mourinho will be the first one to point it out publicly. I assure you. Seeing Roma part of the top 10 best teams in the world, according to UEFA, is a great achievement. So happy with the team and Jose. Absolutely. I'm the first one to say it, and I've never made a secret of it. With Jose comes a lot of visibility, comes a lot of responsibility. Roma have stepped up to the plate. Yes. What we expect of them is still take that next step And Mourinho wants it just as much as we do. He wants his crowning achievement in his time at Roma, not only to be Conference League, but also for the team to finally qualify for Champions League football for the first time since 2018. So I think we can conclude it here, guys. And I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Luckily, we could come on here and comment on what turned out to be a win, a precious win. If you like what we do here at Roma Press, please consider becoming a patron, because it really makes it easier for us to handle social media, work on the website, do the podcast. It's just a two-man team. So if you could become a patron, that's great. You can go to patreon.com/Roma Press, and you can make life easier for us by subscribing to any of the plans that are available. And you can get a lot of cool benefits, such as early access to the podcast, extra episodes of the podcast, and a lot of cool merchandise. So patreon.com/Roma Press. And if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. And this is where you will find all the live streams. Whenever I go live, I will schedule it in advance, and you can get a notification. And if you want to watch the video version of the podcast, you can find it here as well. So thank you so much, guys. Have a nice rest of the day. I guess we'll see each other down the week as Roma prepare to face Servette in the Europa League. So until next time, guys, thank you so much. Ciao, and Forza Roma as always.